How y'all doing, folks? Yeah. It's me. You know who it is. You know where I'm from. Or as Scott Hall once so famously said, you know who I am. You know where I'm from. What's up, Son is Hot Raw? Who else is in the building? Probably got a couple of ghost watchers. Who knows? You know, it's funny. I was just on Mr. Z's channel. Shout out to Mr. Z. Doing God's work because I couldn't watch them silly bitches. And the theme of his show was about how black women were basically denigrating and dissecting black men to be lesser than or even subhuman, but big upping white men in the process. But yet, I'm the type of person you can say whatever you want. Does your beliefs outweigh your reality? I can't watch those silly motherfuckers for long. I really can't. See, we look at the hard times that men go through, and because men put themselves through such hard, difficult times, we don't even have to go to combat. We don't have to go to war. Just walking outside, just being is sometimes mostly the most rigorous thing you could do. I was talking to two ladies yesterday at different times. And I asked this one question. Who would receive help if they got a flat tire first? You or me? And they were like, well, they don't help anybody like that anymore, which is deflecting, man. All I get on a side note, this is all I get nowadays when I ask direct questions. Just a bunch of deflection. And people usually deflect because they know what the answer is. They just don't want to answer it. Okay? And I'm like, who do you think after drilling for another minute or two, okay, they would help me. Was it that hard? And I'm okay with that. And I'm very much okay with that. Men should be capable. Not gonna lie. But men should be very careful who they share their capabilities with. Men are always brought up to be giving. to be benevolent. But what do we get in return? Are we given the due respect to somebody who builds a country? No, we're not. I'll answer that for you. We're not. This is the time that we're going through where you overestimate women and you underestimate men's value. And it shows many different ways. Example, while listening to Mr. Z, he mentions that FD signifier is doing some type of new masculinity type of BS. I just asked the question, who made this effeminate, simping person the measuring stick for masculinity? Who? Why should I listen to a guy that panders? Why should I listen to a guy that obviously does not have the best interests of black men at heart? And guess what? Tell the truth and shame the devil. Masculinity's lonely as fuck, man. It really is. It really is. Masculinity is not for the faint of heart. It's so hard that right now you have young men out there trying to forsake their masculinity and try to claim femininity. To each is their own. Mr. Meach, what up? Max Soul, sun is hot, raw. I keep telling people in these YouTube streets, masculinity is a difficult road to travel. When I left for my grandfather's funeral, we made one stop going down. And the only reason is because we didn't eat. Coming back up, we made no stops. And I literally drove 5 hours, 5.5 hours down, and 5.5 hours back. Actually, 5 hours back. I was faster going back. Respect all you truck drivers. 5 hours to you driving is like nothing. But to a person who's not used to that, that can be very difficult. You don't complain, you just do. If you notice in the thumbnail, the character Guts from Berserk, probably the most unluckiest character in all of anime. Yeah, you're right. Barely do an hour, right? I want you to think about this. He came into the world while they lynched his mother and the rest of the people she was traveling with in a tree, and he fell out of her womb. Then he was raised by this basically warlord, and one of the guys in the mercenary group paid money to have their way with him while he was a child. But don't worry, even as a child, you know, Guts got his back in blood where he eviscerated the dude. What's up? What's up, Josh? T Riddler. Oh, Guts been through it, hasn't he? Let's speed up a little bit where he becomes a mercenary for hire as a young late teenager. He's carrying a sword that's damn near the weight of a human being. He's smashing through people. He joins the Band of Hawk. You know, that's where he befriends Griffin. I forget the female name, his love interest. If anybody know it, please put it in the chat. Um, he joins the Band of the Hawk. Well, that's because the mangaka passed away, and I think this year, next year, they're going to continue the story because people wanted to hear the story. He literally fights with the Band of the Hawk. You know, with Griffin, with his love interest. And you're talking about a guy who started out with a difficult life. And when Griffin betrayed his band, it's kind of funny. I went from 20 to 8, and the algorithm just shot my shit down. I don't know why, but we're going to keep rocking on. Guts literally gets betrayed by probably, arguably, his best friend, where he literally just rescued him from being tortured and locked up in a dungeon. And because this guy wanted to be perfection, yep, you know what? YouTubing. But guys like FD don't understand why our channels get, you know, blacklisted. And all I'm talking about is hard times, soft men, soft times, hard men. But you know, y'all rocking with me, so we're gonna keep rocking on. As they say, the army's marching forward and marching on. Guts gets betrayed by Griffin. And Griffin literally sacrifices, and I do mean literally sacrifices the Banner of the Hawk, his mercenary group, his military, his comrades in arms, his brothers and sisters in arms, to literal demons, where they're just doing some of the most heinous, disgusting things to the Man of the Hawk, consuming them, eviscerating them, amputating them. while Guts has his arm trapped within the jaws of one of these demons and he can't move. He literally has his way with his love interest. I keep forgetting her name. If somebody knows the name, please put it in the chat. Right in front of Guts. And SA's her right in front of him. The event was so traumatic that it's fractured her brain and sent her into a downward spiral of insanity. Thank you, Casca. So much so that Guts literally took the closest blade next to him, cut off his arm, killed the beast, and tried to kill Griffin right then and there and rescue Casca. And he was defeated and stopped. Time passes. Oh, yeah, by the way, for those of you who are not familiar with the story, Guts has a brand, and I believe Casca does too, if I can recall, where the brand on his neck will start bleeding and he will forever attract demons and ghosts, goblins and ghouls, to his location. It's an early warning system that doubles as pheromones, I guess, for all the creatures that come out of hell. Literally, if you watch it, literally. But you notice one thing Guts never does? He really doesn't complain. He just takes it as it is. This is my life. I'm on a mission to get my revenge, to rescue my lady Casca. And I'm going to carry on. Let me know if y'all following me. Give me a woo if you're still here in the chat. Yep, him and Casca were rescued by the Black Knight demon that gave Guts the tools to fight back against the demon. Yes. But here's the one thing you got to know. Did Guts ever truly complain? Or Guts just took it as this is my plight? When you go through the adventures of Berserk, sometimes misadventures, and I think people need to watch Berserk for multiple reasons because, one, it's a story where nobody comes out clean. It's also a story of how people have to fight their inner demons or give in to them. And Son of Hot Raw said not even once did this man complain about his plot in life. He just plows forward with his enormous sword that weighs as much as a person, probably more, and hacks through whatever is in his life. Hard times are created by soft men. In that moment of weakness, Griffin literally destroyed everything that was close to, sacrificed, destroyed everything close to him. I'm listening to people that Mr. Z was talking about, like FD Signifier, talking about a new masculinity. Masculinity's been around for 2 million years. Why do you need to come up with this new thing? And I do agree with Mr. Z. Why are you trying to convince young black men to deal with insufferable women? You shouldn't. We're gone the days of just complaining about women. We're walking to our destiny. Because the softer you make a man, the harder times around your environment will be. Yeah, you are. Yeah. I wish Mr. Z was up here to explain it even better to me. Think about this during the story of Guts within Berserk. He's battled against demons, zealots, literally ancient creatures, monsters. Not one time did he say, "Woe is me." He just accepted his fate. And see, when you look at this soft times and hard times and soft men, even though we joke about the drizzle, and I support the drizzle. You don't get the men you want by defecating on them. You get the men you want by investing into them. Hey, what's up, Niwa?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Doing all right. So, and I'm glad that a lot of people, of course, a lot of people probably watched Berserk with me. You never really heard Guts complain. He may cuss, he may be antisocial. If you go through what the fuck he went through, you would be too. But because he's so self determined, he plows through it. He knows that things are going to kill him or give him great deal of pain and difficulty. He still goes forward. What's up, Snowman?
Hey, how's it going, gents?
Doing all right.
Normally
If
I'm
you
the
look,
one that's on here in the morning, but now Dr. Faulkner's on in the morning, so I know this has got to be ultra important.
it's been a while since I did a morning stream, so
Yeah.
I got to give a party to people since I'm
Oh,
doing a little bit
you have to. You
cleaning
have.
and packing. And I'm just using example the story of Berserk, the anime,
Yeah.
where Guts. I think every man should be required reading and watching.
Mm-hmm.
When you think you're dealing with a bad day, look at Guts.
Look at Guts. Yep. Yep.
And
Sorry about that. I'm in preparation for my show this morning, so that's why you're gonna hear different types of noises. But
okay,
that's
Testing. Can y'all hear me now?
yeah,
yeah, we can hear you now.
we got you. Every man has his story. Every man has a story. It's either a
Mhm.
tale of triumph, a tale of tragedy, or in my case, a lot of both.
I've always said this, no man. The scars on my body tell a story.
Yes, sir.
They tell you how much I've been hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you where I've been. They tell you how much I triumph. But most of all, they also tell you how much I healed.
And it's the last one that scares a lot of people. How much you've healed. It's the last one that scares a lot of people. I don't know why that is. And frankly, to this point, I don't care.
Yeah.
I just know I know your story, you know mine. A lot of guys in this space know my story, your story, and many others. But the story needs to continue to be told. I had someone actually say to me, okay, you told your story about beating cancer. Whoopee. Motherfucker, you don't even know half of it. And for him to say something that condescending from a person I considered a friend once upon a time, not anymore. If you're absent during my struggles, don't be present during my successes. And they're coming.
100%. That's what I tell everybody. Every time I validate my network, I tell them to their face. Exactly
Yep.
what you just said.
Yep. That's exactly what I tell them. And I'm sick and I'm sick and tired of men being judged by what they've done before their struggle. I'm sick and tired of it. I've seen it. We've all seen it. Not just me. We've all seen it. I'm tired of it. That's why I do my diary.
I wanted to add something real quick to Berserker. It's not the same, but it's a little bit similar.
Mhm.
Yamamoto and freaking Bleach. From who he used to be all the way up until his death.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did Eurobox said to him? He said, back in the day, I would have had issues with you when you used to be a savage. Now, all of a sudden, you're soft, and look at you. Killed him easily.
Yeah. Think about it. Look what happened with Yamamoto when he was. That was when you see an old guy in anime, don't fuck with him.
Yep.
Don't fuck with them. They're gonna fuck you up something fierce.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a trope because in the black community we think the opposite.
Yeah.
We look at the older men as weak, but we forget the one rule. I may be old, but I'm old for a reason.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I'll keep telling.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
I keep saying all the time to the kids that ask me what I've been through, and all I would say is I wasn't even supposed to make it to 50. I'm going to be 52 in July. I was given a death sentence. My wife was given my death sentence, and wife said, "Not in this motherfucker, you're not."
Mm-hmm. And you got to realize when you look at that damn Berserk, when people talk about manliness, stoicism,
Mm-hmm.
Berserk may be the greatest literary tale of stoicism in the modern day.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Best believe what the shit this motherfucker went through would have broke most people. And anytime you're, especially if you're in the warrior class, you see some shit that breaks you. There's things that I've experienced that will break most men.
Same here. I saw cancer break my dad.
Mm-hmm.
It finally broke him in 2007. I saw cancer break my dad. I saw a stroke break my grandfather.
And go ahead.
Forgive my next sentence, but I gotta say it real. You know how I am. I had a bitch tell me And I mean every word of this sentence, that I shouldn't talk about them like that because they're no longer here. I kicked her out of my house and blocked her number as soon as she said it.
Yeah.
So, man, let me say something to that real quick. Cause there was a couple of things. Cause I'm still driving home, and I was like, I'm not going to text and drive. But like stuff like that, like what you're talking about, this is the thing that people need to nip in the bud immediately, and you did that. Like,
Yep.
one thing that pisses me off the most is when people try to come and police my speech, and they don't even understand why I'm saying it.
Exactly.
I had to do that last week with a chick I'm talking to. Well, if you're gonna say something, I said, why don't you just shut the hell up and let me say it? If you're offended so easily, don't be around me. Because I'm not
a lot of people that.
I'm not soft. I'm not soft.
I tell a lot of people that. Like, if you're offended easily, you don't want to be around my crazy ass.
And I think that's what's one of the biggest things is that you feel as though you could police men.
And they continue to try.
Mm-hmm.
These black bitches continue to try. They continue to try.
But yet, the entire time, when I give the example of Guts, a lot of you women would say, I don't want a man like that. I want a man who talks about his feelings. And Guts will look at you like, bitch, you do see all these demons around us, right? They're trying to kill us.
Yep.
They're trying to eat us. But you're worried about your feelings.
I can't tell you how many times I had a bitch say to me, you shouldn't talk about your feelings. And then their very next sentence, why don't you talk about your feelings more? Get the fuck out and stay out.
Pick a struggle.
Exactly. I've chosen mine, and I've chosen a woman who's poured all the way into me, as BGS has often said.
Yeah. You got to pick a struggle, because there are people out there who will look at you battling your demons, battling alcoholism, battling drugs, battling homelessness, battling, some type of disease or sickness, battling, loneliness, battling the loss of someone, battling a bad relationship, battling their own mental fortitude.
And you want to talk about my mental fortitude, yours also, when we had that groundbreaking conversation with Matt. You want to talk about three men's fortitude being tested. I'm gonna post that interview. I'm gonna post that conversation in its entirety on my channel.
Oh, yeah,
we were only supposed to be on there for a half hour. We talked until like what, 1 a.m?
Yeah.
This was only supposed to be a half-hour interview that Matt arranged. He introduced me to Charles, and I will forever love Matt for this conversation. Listen, we were only supposed to be on for a half hour. That's what we discussed. We discussed it before we came on air, and we discussed it after we came on air. Man, we didn't go to bed till 1 a.m.
Yeah. You gotta think about this, Snowman. When's the last time you heard of people stand and talk about stoicism? Think about this. I had 20 people starting this going on. Now I'm down to 11, went to 8, and the algorithm ain't fucking with me. Barely talked about women. Talked about men being men in the face of adversity.
And the algorithm is not and the algorithm's not fucking with you when you bring up that.
But if I talked about girl power, if I talked about LGBT, hell, if I do those silly ass channels where they're doing little switching the heads of action figures and crushing stuff under a car wheel, I would have 300 people watching me live.
I don't have to tell you my struggle with this shit. I do nothing but sports, basically. until recently when I decided to let my feelings loose in Diary of a Mad Snowman. I decided to let my feelings loose. We got you.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, if you can catch me back up, my phone got cut off because of the heat. So if you can give me a little brief just so I know where y'all left off at, like 45 seconds.
Basically just talking about the algorithm and how they're really fucking with me because I had 20 people starting this live. Now I'm down to 9 and it's going fluctuating. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you how fucked up this is since I'm on this note. I've been subscribed to BGS for almost a decade. And then it says unsubscribe, but then I push the button, it says subscription error.
Okay.
Somebody needs to do it.
That's just plain wrong.
Some people need YouTube need a class action lawsuit because if I'm subscribed to channels and this is what sings to my soul, leave me the fuck alone. I have a niche group. Majority of the people who follow me are military, police, truck drivers, electricians.
Yep.
And a few, even though quite a few college guys, you know.
Yeah.
But why is it that all these other channels get to survive, get to thrive?
You know what? I had a friend of mine who lives in Florida. I met him when he lived in Canada, and I know he's telling me truth by saying, you know, that's a hatred I have to let go. But I've got to say this aloud.
And
I do nothing but sports. I do nothing but sports. He's got a built-in fan base of Canadian fans of Canadian football and hockey, and I get that. I'm building my fan base, and this is nothing against Rod. I mean, he's my homie. I love him dearly. But I think he also understands why I'm so damn frustrated. He understands why I'm so frustrated because I do nothing but sports. I've called football games. I've called baseball games. I've done basketball games. Yet riddle me this, Batman. Why the fuck can I get raw?
Go ahead.
Why the fuck can other niggas hop on YouTube without a lick of experience, without even holding a candle to the experience that I have as a sports talk host and a play-by-play announcer? And not only do they survive, not only do they thrive, they get all the goddamn financial support. Meanwhile, you got a fellow that kicked cancer in the ass, that had a toe amputated, that has to use this to survive, and yet I can't get a lick of support anywhere. Now, this is nothing against the faithful few that I have, you and Noir and everybody else that's heard me, you know, and I appreciate y'all. I do. And I got to go here in a minute, but I'll leave you with this. Why can't a fellow who does sports for a living and is trying to make a living out of this because of the joker he was dealt with his health, and yet he's hung out to dry and he's hung out to die? Fuck drying. He's hung out to die. That's why I added Diary of a Mad Snowman, so I can talk about this shit.
And it's funny because when you talk about things that are going to be quote unquote controversial, think about it. Ann Coulter can say she wouldn't vote for a guy because he's Indian and still have a fan base.
Yep.
You know,
to Son as Hot Raw, I need help with the marketing. All I know how to do is just take my channel link and send it to people and just do that. I don't have any advanced marketing tricks. If anybody knows any that can help, I would appreciate it. And I've always said that. Has any other marketing tricks, I would love to have them.
The only best thing, more shorts.
Yeah, and my wife suggested that, so I reached out to a few kids that I called games for, and I'm waiting on getting their permission to repost some of the calls that I had with them. And I know they're gonna say yes, but I'm gonna follow my wife's advice and get them to sign a release saying that it's okay.
So, real quick, I guess because of my experience in IT, up to the point of where I did a second job, I won't disclose that. But anyway, the thing you got to understand is, I'll say it's going to be a long read. Charles also recommend that you do a video going word for word, line for line over the policy of YouTube, right?
Hmm.
And then look in there to see what you can and cannot do, right? But I'll tell
Yeah.
you one secret: what people do is the fact that they run their own algorithm, their own script, which kind of shoots advertisement to people, and it does the advertisement for you. Now, the reason why I'm going to caveat off of myself on what I'm saying is because of the stuff that I've been seeing for the past couple of days, and YouTube is really getting exposed for this. Like, hopefully
Yeah.
you don't get banned for what I'm about to say, Charles, but I'm gonna have to say it. The thing is, they're doing what they're doing out in the open, and this is where you got to catch people like that, right? Because they can easily fire like a developer team, say, "Oh, we were unaware of this, and we didn't know that this was going on. We're sorry, and here's
Right.
like a little cut for your troubles." It's like you have VGS for a decade. You're telling me that you're messing with the way that his code for his name, for his page, and all that stuff is, and you haven't fixed it. That means that you have to start doing stuff on what people on the big stage are doing, which is more of a smear campaign, right? Like, hey, you have to start putting it on other platforms or whatever you want to put it out there to force them to actually look at what's going on because of the possible publicity that this thing is going to take. And it's sad that people have to go to undermining tactics like that in order to get someone to do their fucking job. That's the
Yeah.
sad point.
Yeah. All right,
You got to
gentlemen.
expose people and put people. Oh, go ahead.
I gotta go. I'm a few minutes behind
Okay.
to starting my show. I'm gonna post my channel here, but I am the one-stop shop for sports talk because I talk hockey, I talk baseball, two sports that black people supposedly don't talk about. Well, hell, this black man does. Along with the regulars, basketball and football, and how'd you describe it, Charles? Sports talk from a red pill lens.
Oh yeah.
All right, y'all. I gotta go.
Yeah.
If you're still on when I sign off, I'll hop back.
All right, man.
All right, later,
You,
brother.
you got it. It's funny because sometimes you gotta be underhanded and dirty just to make your way.
Ain't
But
that the
that's
truth?
part- but that's part of the stoicism. And when we look at the stoicism, you got to remember that part of that stoicism is you got to realize that one of the things is that you know you're going to have a difficult life majority of the time.
Yep.
And what's
Because
egregious about shit? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was waiting for the break. You're gonna have a difficult life because you are a man. People,
Hmm.
like, to go back to what you were talking about, and that kind of got me riled up a little bit, right? Just because of the ridiculousness of self hate, the self doubt of saying new masculinity. That is one of the most foolish things I've ever heard in my life. What do you mean new masculinity? What is masculinity, right? We don't need to go into the details, but the thing is, of time of war, which is the most primal aspect of a human being, right? In the history of human beings existing, we will see what new masculinity is. And we're actually seeing it overseas. But because people are so comfortable, right? And I'll stress that comfortable, they think that they can sit here and act crazy. And to the point of what Charles was saying earlier, weak men create hard times. I mean, look at the economy right now. I'll pause right
there. Oh, I know why you had to pause that one, boy. And I want you to think about this shit, right? Men are simple. And what kills it is this. And I'm gonna bring up the story of Guts again. To go through life knowing that you may not see old age. People like FD signifiers trying to come up with this new masculinity, nice guy bullshit. We've been nice for decades, if not centuries. Where the fuck has that gotten us? I never called me a nice man, a nice guy. Call me an honorable man. There's no honor in being a dummy. There's no honor in being a loser. And when you look at times of distress, all this time, women will tell you they want a leader, but all you got to do is ask the right questions back to back, and you'll see that's like Facebook dating. You know, talked to a young lady last night and was in front of my godson. And they're listening. And I asked her, what type of man? I want a man that can lead. I said, okay, are you the type of person who, if he makes a decision for the family, are you going to challenge it on him? Well, it depends, but I'm not going to listen to everything he says. I said, wait a minute. And guess where she spent 20, she has 21 years in the Army Reserves as an E6. You would think that she would know what leadership is about, right? So you're telling me if your CO, your commanding officer says this is the direction the company will go, when you're in formation, do you come out of that goddamn formation and say, no, I don't agree with that? You know what her response was? That, well, that's different. How?
Let me, Charles. Let me dig deep into that one. Because at this point, I give no fucks, right? I'm the type of person that shines the light for all the roaches to scatter, right? So it is different. It is different. It's very, very, very different, right? The reason why it's different is because the way that certain leaders, we'll say men, having to deal with certain types of, I was about to say a different word, but soldiers, right? That are part of the protective class and that has privilege, it is going to be different. That person is going to see how they're being treated and how others being treated, and they're going to take advantage of that. So it is very much different. Now, when that person is married to that person, right? This is a legal binding contract according to the state of your residence, right? There's still that hierarchy that will state that this person has privilege as well as is protected, regardless of the situation. The only time you don't see that, depending on the gender, is when it's same sex. Then it's completely different. Mm-hmm. That's when you see what they are and how they're going to deal with it. So if that CO, right, is the same gender as them and the same race as them, oh, now it's a different ballgame.
Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing when I told her. Because that motherfucker has the ability to Article 15 you or remove you from their command, you'll listen to them without question. But your husband, a guy that's supposed to be, you say, as the leader of your family, you didn't listen to him. And listening to this chick, I said, okay, how come you're single? You're an attractive female, got shit going for you. Why are you single? You know, you know it best because we're both we're north of 40. So when you hit 40, you're fucked. You're fuck. Disparities are out of whack. You can't give enough fucks. Sometimes you don't have any fucks to give. Sometimes you just don't have one single fuck. And the fuck
What did
yous
Danny
you got
Glover say in Lethal Weapon?
too old for this shit.
And he was 42 in that.
Yeah,
But
too old
continue,
for
my
this.
bad.
I'm too old for this shit. And the whole thing about it is that when I'm talking to her and I'm asking her these questions, I said, "So you have a 7-year-old son, right?" I said, "How come you didn't make it with the father? That he died? Were y'all married?" "No." "Well, he wanted to be. He didn't know how to lead. He quit his job, and all these dudes I find out are fuck boys." And I think it's
Ah,
interesting. So if all these dudes are fuck boys, what type of men have you been around your life? And she's like, "Well, you know how women, all these guys are fuck boys." I said, "What type of guy is a fuck boy? And what did you portray?" And she was quiet. I said, "So where did you mess with black guys, white guys?" "Well, I messed with this one white guy in high school." I said, "Okay. Did he claim you?" "Well, he would listen to black music after but he hung out with nothing but white friends." "Oh, so you were just the itch that he scratched." Let me he got his little notebook out and said, "Up, hit a black girl. Up, scratch." And I'm thinking to myself, listening to her, when are you going to tell me anything good about men that you've been with? What are the positives? What did you do? Because obviously, if the relationship ended, there's wrong on both parts. But you never hear a woman say, "I fucked up. I fucked up. I fucked up my share of the relationship."
let me add something real quick to that because this is for everybody else to understand, right? You got two 40-year-olds that's trying to explain something to you, and just like the good book says, there's nothing new under the sun. All right. So the thing
Oh
that
yeah.
Charles is trying to explain, right, is the simple fact that men are expected to are expected to share in the consequences, but we're not supposed to share in the blessings or the rewards. We're supposed to 100% give it to them. That is the definition of your money is our money, my money is my money. I'll stop right there.
Oh yeah. And what's the shameful part about it is that when I told her, she says, "I want a guy that's fiscally responsible, financially responsible." I said, "So, okay, you want a guy that's financially responsible. What if he tells you, no, we can't get that right now because we're saving up for something?" "Well, it depends." I said, "Then you don't want a leader. If you're saying this guy that, you know, we're using our imagination now that you married, he can't tell you, no, we can't do that. We can't, we can't do that." So you want somebody that you can challenge when you see fit. But if he leads, see, this whole thing about a leader, women don't want leaders. She always used the word partner. Shout out to the master teacher. You know how we feel about partner in this space. And I had to tell her, I don't believe in partners. I believe in cooperation. We're not equals. We're not equals. And then she was like, what about 50-50? I don't like 50-50. I said, what if y'all
Sorry.
oh, go ahead, because I'm laughing my damn self. And then when she said she didn't like 50-50, oh, I had to drive it in deeper. Giggity. And I'm talking to her. I said, what if we sat down and put our bills out there, all our debts, and said the best way for us to survive is to go 50-50 on all the bills? Well, it wouldn't make sense if he had more money and all this. Once again, this is what I get. Instead of listening to the question or the statements being presented, I get that deflection.
Hey Charles, you also gotta add if you got an animation for the freaking agent dodging the bullets. That's the reason why I got that as my avatar. Sometimes they don't even deflect. Sometimes they completely dodge it.
Oh, like this?
There you go.
Just completely dodged that motherfucker. Still standing still. I mean, shit. And I'm like, you're going by these hypotheticals. Do you know how rare? And I had to just say, do you know how rare it is for a man to make $200,000 a year?
Let me simplify it for you, brother. For all the men that's listening to this and all the females that's listening to this, you can agree or disagree. I really don't care, right? But the way, based on action, based on what we have seen all the way from COVID till now, even all the examples that Kay has given has basically allowed us to see, right, to this very day, right? Even YouTube didn't even cancel him. Think about that, right? Especially the stuff we're going through right now. Men are expected to live to the perfection of the image that's in that woman's head. We are expected to accept them as they are. You can never flip that.
Yeah. What we're supposed to be
perfect.
All perfect. We're supposed to be the one unshakable rock. We're supposed to be the foundation that everybody builds upon. But we can't even get a fucking sandwich when we want it. Hey, baby, I'm hungry. Fix it your goddamn self. Oh, man. Hopefully you're feeling better, All-Star G. Unless you're working in the hospital, then, hey, we ain't get soft guy. It's funny because one day I'm going to really sit down, and I need to start to do a Patreon so we could watch, or at least go on some streaming service that allow me to put up videos. The Macho Man and Longo Savage, ladies and gentlemen.
Top rope.
I want to do Berserk, and I want to go step by step to show you stoicism. Even when Guts was broken. My man Back Soul said, hell, I'll take bologna with the One Piece bread. God damn. But just a piece of bread.
Even that, like, what about a glass of water after I came inside from cutting the goddamn grass?
A glass of water. Gives me some sugar diabetes, Kool-Aid, something. It's never anything is never a reward.
I don't understand the fact on why they can't reciprocate what we're given. No, I do understand it, but I guess I'm talking from the standpoint of people still trying to figure things out. But once you come to the acceptance of what it is, then that's when you're going to start hearing the shaming language, because it is a psychological warfare. They're trying to get you to get back to that point of where you're supposed to be on what they've been trained and taught on how to treat you. And if you're not doing that, then there's something psychologically wrong with you men. And that's how they are. When you start talking direct like that, there was a thing I was listening to yesterday, and where you have these little hidden groups, and they're allowed to be hidden and talk the ridiculous misogyny talk about men. Then they'll start, they'll probably even say, "Oh yeah, no, truth. I might be the next person." And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, But it's anyone that talks direct to the issue, you are a direct threat. You're not talking like indirect like some people will, or you're not trying to appease like freaking FD.
Yeah.
You're not
And
coddling.
I remember going to FD's neck in the chats when he was in Mr. Z's live stream. And I asked him questions like, so how are black boys to, how the hell do you think we're doing okay if black boys reading is so low? If black boys are not being given substantial care? And I was listening to when he tried to call people in the Black Manosphere or the subscriber counts, because remember, for a lot of you people and a lot of you guys, a lot of you ladies who are subscribers to Black Manosphere content, he literally said that we're a bunch of weirdos who had issues with women.
Wait,
I never had issues.
I'm going to focus on some of the words just because one skill that I had to learn in a few jobs that I had in the past is that you got to look at the word and then the intent behind the word, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to, and please bear with me, Charles, because this is for the your subscribers, for them to understand. Oh, shit. Where the hell did this dude come from? My bad. Anyway, you use the word weirdo. Where in the contents of the way that he used it, who do you typically hear use that word and in the same context?
Females.
Think about that. Who uses the word dusty? In the same context. Females, right?
Yeah.
So when you have someone that is an appeaser, right? That is trying to appease in order to keep their, what term should I use? Their paycheck going, right? They will use language in order to connect with that group. So now you have a bunch of people who's upset. I mean, and I'll say, i.e., right, a pastor of a church that is typically 90% females, all right, because typically they're the ones that are paying the tithes and paying that guy's check, right, or that girl's check, right? Now you need to quiet them down a little bit. Oh well, I am empathizing with you. Yeah, they're weirdos. They're desperate. Yeah, I understand. And I'm speaking on your behalf. Yeah, I ought to get it. And the next thing you know, the money starts not even from their pocketbooks. And men have to understand that this is the type of people you're dealing with. This is a form of psychological warfare on the social front, right? Because, and I'll say this piece, and then I'll let you, and then I'll stop, right? Men, you have to understand one thing, right? There's two aspects on how to assault, the two genders. For men, the number one thing that you can do in order to attack them, right, is to attack their reputation because it's permanent, and it even follows their anyone that takes their last name, right? For women, you attack their image. You can attack their reputation; it doesn't really do anything, but their image, that's long lasting. This is the reason why when you have a woman that is that might not look as good, she doesn't get the pretty privilege, but she can come from a father that makes like multi-million dollars, but still she's not going to attract the same way that that someone who's pretty can. And then for men, the same thing. Man can be disfigured, but if he's a multi-millionaire, or matter of fact, he's not even 6 feet tall. His manhood is not longer than 6 inches, or he makes more than 6 figures, right? The 3 6s, right? But any of that stuff. But if he does have the reputation, which can produce the the status, then women will be willing to give up those 3 6s just to be with them because they think it would add to their image, right?
Yeah.
Think about the rappers that have multiple baby moms. mean, not to put him out there, but look at Lil Wayne, right? And look how many baby mamas he has.
Yeah.
If Lil Wayne did not have the money, do you think that he would have the same pull that he has right now?
No, he's like what, 5'5"?
Yeah. Kodak. You
Hell
think he
no.
will have the same? Like, these are the things that people need to look at and understand exactly what type of battleground they're in. This is a social front. Your reputation is being attacked because they expect you to be at a certain position in order to, be subservient to those that are in power. And when it comes to black women, we already know who they respect. They would not attack because they know they'll get crushed.
Yeah. And it's so funny because when I look at the stoicism part, I've always said this to women, and you got to understand that men have a certain time where they just don't give a fuck because we're supposed to be that way. We're supposed to be the guys who come get you out of your danger, your bondage. Who's supposed to correct the ship. But you don't want leaders, you want guys to be compromised. You want the guy to sit on the throne because that's where all the arrows are pointed. The only reason you want a leader is so you can point the finger and say, see, you were in charge, but the family messed up.
Helen of Troy. My
Oh,
bad. I
yeah.
say that out loud.
Oh, yes. You're the figurehead. Many of chicks want to be Rasputin to the Russian Tsar. You get my drift? And what's crazy about talking to Shorty was that of all these guys out here, F boys, why are you on Facebook dating? You dated Hispanic guys, you dated black guys, and they're all F boys, or is it you? You can't tell me you didn't find any guys worth a goddamn in the Army Reserves, which is an even more diverse pool because you're a reservist. That means, and you work for DOD, so that means you have a very great pool of men to choose from. Because last time I checked, you're still outnumbered in the military 9-1.
There's a reason for that, Charles. Based off of what you're saying and what I'm picking up is that she's trying to hold on to a unstable, or let me use the politically correct term now, fluid mindset. Fluid does not have any structure to it. It can fill a bottle, but if it starts to freeze or it starts to heat up, it can basically break that structure that is inside of, right? So the issue is that when you start dealing with certain military men, they're probably way too structured for her. So when she decides to want to go through some type of roller coaster, and they're basically leaning onto their structure, right, their discipline, that's a serious problem because they're feeling it.
You're boring, and you're boring.
Doing the same exact job, and look at the mindset. How can you do the same exact job going through the same type of camaraderie in terms of pain and suffering in order to complete the mission? And you will look at that person and still think that you're above them and then say that they're boring.
It's Guts, man. That's why Guts is the man. If we had to pick an anime character to represent the Black Manosphere, it would probably be Guts. Because I can't think of an anime character that went through more hell than him. That
Literally.
he makes Deku from My Hero Academia look like a bitch. Like, what you crying for? Matter of fact, once Deku start crying, he'll be like, "What's that water coming from your eyes?" He doesn't even know what tears are. I think Guts got Kenshiro beat. Well, they're not too far from brutality, I'll tell you that much. But he might have him beat.
What
It's
about All Might?
All Might's the dude. All Might is Black Pill. All Might is Black Pill.
But there's a reason why he's Black Pill.
Think about this, especially at the beginning of the series when you first meet him. You got to think about this. He's still doing the hero job, even though he can only obtain his power for 3 hours a day. He knows the world's fucked up. He knows he's got to put this image on. He's got to put the smile. He's got a job to do. And it becomes thankless. He's got to do what most men have to do is pick their successor. I'm being targeted. You never know.
Don't forget that injury, that severe injury that limited his power, that he had to
Oh
hold
yeah,
in bed the whole time.
a hold. He had to hold it. Did he complain about his injury? No. Still did his job. And you got to remember, before his injury, and you got to think of how impressive All Might was during the series. He was even stronger before that injury. Like, God damn, he was incredibly powerful. And I think that a lot of people look at the journey of Deku. I think it would have been more exciting to look at the journey of All Might. How do you still keep a smile on your face when your master was killed in battle? How do you keep positive? How do you keep moving forward? People forget about this character, and I'm going to say he's very Black Pill. And people are going to look at me strange by saying this. It's this guy.
So you talking about Dark Side or Superman? Oh, Superman. Okay. All right.
You don't grow up on a farm and not see life or death, do you? Think about that. You got to think about, you got to control your urges to be like, you know what? Fuck this shit. You humans are stupid. I'm going to rule you motherfuckers. I'm going to take this bitch over. You want no war? Guess what? You can't have war if I destroy all your armories. But no. He says, I'm going to give you the ability to choose your destiny. It's kind of like the anime Full Metal Alchemist. The brothers were blue pilled and a motherfucker at the start of the series.
Yeah.
Blue pilled and a motherfucker.
So they try to bring their mother back.
Yeah, middle of the series they became red pill. By the end of the series, they made some black pill ass decisions. And that's the journey of manhood. But see, this is the reason why a lot of men got to make a decision. Instead of FD actually doing what a scholar's supposed to do, is take multiple different Black Manosphere or Manosphere content. I really wish, and I hope he hears this, and he probably would if the algorithm didn't fuck with my shit. I'm going to say this to FD. Why don't you do what an actual researcher is supposed to do and take actual Black Manosphere content from content creators, study them, look at the material, and then really start to make a critique instead of putting up Fresh and Fit, who were never Black Manosphere. Sneeko, who was never Black Manosphere.
There's a reason to that, right? And this is the thing that I try to teach people that surround me as much as possible, right? You will know them by their fruits, or you know them by their actions.
Mm-hmm.
Based off of what they are doing, they're telling you why they're not going to do the other. So you take it for what what it is, and then eventually they'll be forced to address it when that barrier, that shield, or whatever they think that is that's encroaching on their comfort, and then they have to talk about it. Eventually, it's gonna come out, right? It happens to all people, right? Eventually, it's gonna slip up, or something's gonna happen. It's gonna be some type of incident. I mean, look what happened to Derek Jackson.
Yep.
It's going to happen.
All that shit he was talking, all that, and you know what? I'm glad you brought up DJ.
Yeah.
All this shit that he was talking, and found out he's cheating on his wife. And you know what? Does he not still have a following?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That just lets you know women don't give a fuck about loyalty. They don't give a fuck about none of that shit.
Yeah, as long as they get theirs and they on top, it don't matter.
And literally and figuratively.
It is very simple to analyze and understand their rank structure. Look at their behavior. And I try to tell them, oh, it's not that, it's not that. Hey, dog, nah, man, you know what I'm saying? You got to be there for them. I'm like, what are you talking about? Just look at it. Now, if you choose to want to change, want to have turn a blind eye to it, then that's on you. But you look at what people are doing, and they are showing you through their actions and telling you through their actions what they are. Now, I get it. A lot of people want to sit there and say, hey, I want to give grace. You can only give grace to a certain point before you get destroyed.
Mm-hmm. You got to get some good grace about it. And see, now we don't even have people who are graceful about their shit.
You have passive aggressiveness, right? Regardless of what is called, it's the form of an attack. If they sling a passive aggressive attack at you, they're telling you that, hey, I'm going to throw this attack at you, but I don't expect you to throw it back at me. But it is an attack. Period. That type of person, or those group of people, which are probably, they don't like conflict. Maybe they were raised in a household where, this is the way you deal with conflict, and this is the way that you exert your oppression and occupation on a group of people through passiveness, right? And then you should not have as much resistance. But that type of person is explaining to you, this is how they view you. They view you as under them. And as long as you appease to them, then they will temper down the occupation on your life, the effect on your life, the way that they can come at you using social, right? Threatening your job, trying to get you doxxed, smiling in your face, always trying to take your place. The quote of OJ's, right?
Mm-hmm.
All these things, they are telling you that they are at war with you until you bend the knee and you bow to them, and then you serve them, and then you pass down that same type of servitude through your generations to their generation. If you do not do that, then you're going to start to see that passive aggressive is going to turn into open combat, open fire. It's not going to be a cold war anymore. It's going to be a hot war. Men understand this. Even women that are called pygmies understand this. It is a cultural warfare on the social front. I'll stop right there. My bad, y'all.
No, you good. If you were flowing. See, you gotta understand that I agree with you totally. It's a control tactic. You can't physically make the men do it. So you have to actually break them into doing it. You actually have to coerce the men into saying you should take a bad deal. You're gonna take the bad deal. Why should I take the bad deal? Well, a real man would do it. But how many times are we gonna have to talk about real men, real masculinity? How many times are we gonna have people coming into our fucking streams, coming into this space saying what a real man is supposed to do? A real man is supposed to choose the destiny for himself, last time I checked, right? A real man is supposed to be self determined, right? What does Peter Parker always say from Uncle Ben? Great power comes what?
Great responsibility.
Why have you ever noticed they want to feminize most of your fucking comic book heroes? Because where did boys learn stoicism, heroics, stick to itiveness, determination, self determination? Is usually from your dads and your comic book mythical heroes.
Or other great men.
Yeah. But notice why they want to put so many females in leadership roles. Number one is to bastardize the leadership. This is why the black community's hell bent on no men in charge. Because once men are in charge, shit runs differently. Hmm. The Macho Man Alongo Savage, what you say coming off the top rope. Maybe we should start asking if they thought their BD was a real man and why didn't it work? That's what I did last night. So when did you find out this guy wasn't for you? After the baby or before the baby?
Let me say this to the men too, right? Specifically people like that, right? And I'm going to use some of their slang and terms. I thought y'all was standing on business. I thought you found a real man, right? I
Hmm.
thought this was the one. When you allowed yourself to be entered by that person and then you produced that child for that person, I thought that was the one because you're willing to do that. Well, you trying to talk about the Roe v. Wade situation? It's like I'm not saying anything. Your actions is showing who you are and how you look at or how you run your life based off of the privilege that you have. Because now all of a sudden, that masculinity that you thought that you were getting to, right? That person desire. And now you want to go and find a person that you knew that you're supposed to be with and have that person raise that other person's child. Because you want to do what you want to do. That's the reason why oftentimes when you see situations like that and they're very angry, tired, right? Real man, right? And the other thing is, even if they're not in that situation, you can kind of tell that it will even go into that situation because they're so quick to put their responsibility on someone else. They are looking for princes, queens looking for princes because a prince still has to be of subservitude to the king, to the queen and the king. They already have identified who their king is, and that king is the government. You will never replace the government, ever. And that example has been shown multiple times. Like look at Shaq, look at all these people whose wealth is generational. We're talking about multiple generations. And they still want to play that game with them. Because ultimately, when things have to happen outside of money, and we go back to the social front and they want to sit there and mess with you, then that's when they call daddy government. It was like, you need to put this person in this place and take his money. So he knows exactly who he's serving. Understand that, people. You would know them by their actions and who they actually are looking for. They are looking for princes or they're looking for jesters. Entertainment. I'll stop right there, Charles. Oh, he's on mute. Okay. I'll keep talking till you get back. This is the thing. Like, you got to look at this. I'm probably going to get flagged for it, and I really don't care. But I'm talking to men, and I'm talking to women that are called pygmies, that the Dusties and the pygmies. You got to understand who's in your network. Are these people leeches? Because of the fact that I'm bringing them up, they're offended. How dare you talk about me like that? If you're not a leech, then you shouldn't get offended by it. Plain and simple. If you're not a Pookie or a Keisha, then you shouldn't get offended by it. But the problem is that based off of their upbringing and how they've been, been raised in specific environments, they're going to get offended because I'm playing with their money, I'm playing with their resources. So that's the reason why they have to come at me, because I'm talking to a person and saying, don't allow yourself to be used or manipulated at that level. Oh, no truth. He's one of them. He's just mad because of this. It's like, okay, you want to attack my reputation, thinking that that's going to do something to me. Go ahead and try, because I know the aspects of warfare and what you're trying to do. I mean, you're extremely predictable, and because of the fact that I'm teaching other people, like I said, the Dusties and the so-called pygmies, right? Your base, your resource, your logistics is going to really start to degrade. And then now it becomes personal, and that's where you have to go to the typical doxing strategy. I'm calling it out. Oh, let me go and build up. Let me go ahead and mass troops against Noir or anyone in the Black Manosphere. Let me go and start getting on these emotional rants so I can trauma bond with these people, and then I can slip it in there and then have these people to go after the people that I don't like because I'm too weak to do it on my own. Okay. Calling it out. It's very, very simple. And it's sad that you're doing that and you're in the community. You have to find every tactic in the book in order to discredit just so that you can mass troops against the Black Manosphere. Why? Because they're exposing bad behavior. They're not even talking about when, if you really think about it, they're talking about the behavior. Because not all women do that. Not all men do that. They're talking about the behavior. And you're taking it like the behavior is you. You are so offended because of the fact that somebody will say, you shouldn't act like that because it's making you look this way, and people are going to start to shun you. Oh, so now you hate that person for even saying it. It can be your friend, someone that you grew up with, and they're telling you this, and you're offended to that. This person is trying to get you on their level so that you can grow together, and you're offended by that. Oh, you're
yeah.
back. All right, I'll pause right there.
You flowing, man. I appreciate it. It's funny because I'll say this, Son is High Raw. If any woman wants you to raise their child, number one, you should be able to adopt that child and take all the benefits that you get from taxes and all kinds of shit for that child. Number two, you should be free from any penalties like child support with that child. Four, you should have the same rights as the daddy, especially if the daddy's not there, to discipline that child. If I can't do that, take that child to their father. What's the point? Well, but his father, oh, the same nigga that ran out on you that you claim. And remember, I always say that you claim. Well, you guys are trauma bonding. Would you rather us bond about our trauma or actually get up arms and do something violent? Then let us bond about our trauma and leave us the fuck alone. Well, that's not right. Doesn't make it wrong
It's not
either.
right. It's not right because of the expectation that they were taught and what we're expected to do. And if we're not doing it, then they have to try to shame us into doing that so that their comfortability can be maintained and their culture can be preserved and passed down for generations. That's why they're fighting us so bad about that.
It's sad because it's fundamental for men to go out there and challenge the environment. But you want us to be, and I like to use Mr. Z's terminology, you want to condition boys to take these mean ass, insufferable, I'm actually adding my parts too, mean ass, insufferable ass, overweight, uncooperative, unresponsive, damn near diabolical bitches that you call daughters that you're raising. You're raising girls to be fucking heathens towards men who didn't do shit to them. And you still expect those men to still be on their gully. Where in the
It's not
fuck do
even.
they make you?
It's not to that degree, Charles. It's more of how dare you don't give your resources to take care of this person.
Hmm.
It's not even to tolerate or deal with them. They're looking at it like your resources belong to us because we are the matriarch, and it's been told to us from generations that you are supposed to do this. And if you don't do this, then we'll make your life insufferable. But based on our
Hmm.
class system, we choose who you date. And anyone that basically goes against that, then we'll make sure that your life is insufferable.
And
So
that's
you will
why.
go and take this overweight person, you will marry them, and then you will get into this bond in which the government will hold you accountable so that if you don't do what you're supposed to do, we will take half, right? And then on taking half, we will take more because of the child support. You're supposed to do that. And if you're not doing that, you're not a real man.
Hmm.
My bad. I'm
And I
about to
mean,
call out all shit in this stream. My bad. Go ahead.
hey, I mean, look at it this way. I say the guts, and this is the reason why I keep going back to Berserk. Guts doesn't give a fuck. Oh, we're gonna make your life a living hell. I literally have demons chasing me every day of my life. You're not gonna, you're not gonna find love. The love of my life was driven crazy because she was sexually assaulted by my best friend. Go ahead. Tell me, do your worst. You're like, well, goddamn, what can we really do to him? You can't do shit to Guts. And guess what the beautiful thing about Guts' story? He still drives on. No fucks given, no quarter given. You can't hurt a man who's been hurt so much that he develops invulnerability. I'm going to say it again for the Negroes in the back. You can't hurt a man who's been hurt so badly that he starts to develop invulnerability. Well, you'll never get a woman in this country. So what? What power and what consequence do you hold over men? I dare women to go for the 4B movement in this country. Number one, huh, excuse me. Number one, you're so sexually driven, you'll break before the men. Number two, you think you're the only women in the world? And have a good way of
Yo,
paying it
real
back.
real quick, real quick on that. Like like I said, you would know them by their actions. I just want you to pause right there so I can give a little bit of detail to that. So they're making threats, right, that they can't keep. All right, 4B movement. All right? You being that sexually driven, right? We already know that you can't keep that. And the sad thing is that where they think that that they can follow it to a T, like how the Korean women are doing it, they're still right now doing exactly what the Korean women are not doing, right? They're telling you what they're doing and what they're not going to do. Well, they don't talk about it online. They talk it about amongst themselves, and then they it's a secret. And it's like, yeah, but you're talking about it right now. It's like you're trying to make an invalid threat to try to get men to do what they're supposed to do. Think about that.
Empty threats.
I'll pause right there. Go ahead.
It's just empty threats, man. You can't threaten people who are already broken from the system. What are you going to do? You broke me from the system. You destroyed me. You kept me away from anything that I love. That tells you how disciplined men are if they legitimately hold court. If they can legitimately hold court and keep their dignity about themselves, what can you do to that guy? Can't do shit. Men are daring you. They're daring you to do that. I bet you one thing. I bet you one thing. Men ain't gonna give a fuck. Men are not gonna take this fucking shit lying down. They're gonna be like, you know what? Go fuck yourself. We don't care anymore. Who cares? Well, no, you gotta take this abuse. No, we don't. We won't give you no pussy. There's 4 billion pussies in the world. That comes standard issue. Average black woman have too many D's. Dangerous, dastardly, diabolical, deranged, deceitful, damaged, disagreeable, deflammatory, delirious, demoralizing, destructive, difficult, disconcerting. Jesus Christ. Hey, black men are not taking your shit anymore like they used to. They don't care. Black men just don't care. We've already took the hits. We've already said, you know what? We'll sacrifice the fact that we may not get what we want. So what? We're good. We're good.
The thing is this, right? I just remember something from the that they were talking about that they're not willing to take to that degree. Um, they're talking about, oh, we need to do what the 4B movement people are doing. But guess what the Korean men are doing that black men are doing that they have a serious issue with that they can't stop.
What's that?
They're going to other countries.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they shipping the Vietnamese and Thai women over there. They said we'll be damned.
Think about that. Think about to the degree of how their population is. So you have a small sector, right, that's trying to constantly recruit more troops in order to, fulfill a war that really was not even created by them, but it was because of the promises that was given to them. That's the reason why they're willing to fight to this degree, right? You're willing to affect your numbers, your population numbers, to the point where you have another population group that is now outnumbering y'all to the point that they're writing policies to help them. How ridiculous is that?
Mm-hmm.
They're pulling funding, canceling funding in order to help them because of the threat of that population being the number one population in this land. Think about that. I'll pause right here.
And whose fault is it? I tell them all the time, whose fault is it? Don't get mad at people who are not going to put themselves on Beach Street for your feelings. We're not even guaranteed your loyalty, your respect. What happens when we say fuck your respect? What happens when we say fuck your respect? Eventually it's going to say fuck you too. That's what happens. You put your man on the back burner and say these men are not good, they're shiftless, they're doing all this. Women you think that are your lesser are going to be happy with the men that you said aren't shit. Little by little, to and fro, they're gonna be happy with your men. And what's gonna happen is there's gonna be no turning back. What's the old saying? There's gonna be a time when they know not Joseph. There's gonna be a time when these guys don't know race loyalty. You think that race loyalty shit is gonna hold black men still? Black men gonna be like, I'm going with the best deal I possibly can get. I'm just saying. Would you tell your son to go get a bad deal? Don't tell me what you wouldn't tell your daughter. Oh, my daughter, she should get the guy who whoops her ass the most. Then why are you convincing black men they should take the bad deal? Well, you should be fair to us. No. Answer this. Why are you hell bent on black men taking the bad deal? Well, you got to understand, you got to be strong enough to take care of a woman like that. No man wants to play a matador for any wayward bitch. Sorry, those days are over. Those days are done, folks. Those days are kaput, as the old men would say. Nobody wants to deal with that bullshit. And you should not deal with abuse. Since women got their multinational abuse, how about woman abuse? When we get abused by women, do they talk about the abuse men get put through? When we're taken to the cleaners and we're not even seeing our children? Do they talk about the abuse? When men are being put on child support with kids that are not even theirs? Or if those kids are theirs, they're being bankrupt for just taking care of the kid instead of giving them their kid to raise properly. How many times have men have been abused financially because they were looked over because you gave the job to a woman only because she fits a double minority? They don't talk about abuse two ways. They don't talk about how abuse fucks people up.
It's not abuse to us. It's putting us in our place. It's training or
Exactly.
recorrection.
I don't want to be reconditioned for abuse. Fuck that shit. Being reconditioned for some fucking abuse. That shit's for the birds, folks. And then you got some guys literally trying to fucking, let me get the words coming out of my mouth, trying to condition young black men to take that type of shit. The fuck do these clowns come from? We could come up with a new type of masculinity to deal with wayward woman? No. I don't reward bad behavior. Neither should you. Stop rewarding bad behavior. The minute you do that is the minute you're basically condoning the way you get treated.
Once again,
you should never do.
Reconditioning.
You should never do that.
And it's sad, right? Because it's a so imagine that you are trying to get someone to do something because you do have actual authority and power over them. And then they turn back to you, they were like, I'm not listening to you. How disrespected would you feel?
Hmm.
That's the way that they're looking at us. How what? Oh, you're not gonna do it? Oh, I'm gonna put you in your place.
Mm-hmm.
They won't say it in those words, but
I'm gonna
their
call the
actions are doing it.
police. Oh, you know the old saying back in the day, I'm gonna call the white man on you.
Or they'll call their brother or uncle if you grew up in the hood.
Oh yeah, they're gonna call. I'm like, and then here comes the simp army, ready to do damage on their behalf.
Yeah, they have to go through the levels of escalation when it comes to rules of engagement. So first, they have to come at you with the shaming, and if they deem you like, and I'll quote Bleach, a special war power. Now they need to deal with you in a different way. So now let me go and get another person that I think is better than them. Now that person is possibly trained, right? Oh, I need to get a group, which means that I'm going to empower that person I went to go after them. I'm going to give them, it's like, hey, go ahead and take this part of the campaign in order to put this person under so that we can absorb their resources. So now that person has to go into their network. Let's say that they figure out through reconnaissance that that person is like, oh crap, that person is that connected. All right, now we're going to have to go and try to get a contract with people that's outside our group, so that we can try to mass more onto this person, right? I'm saying that this in a technical term, but if you really look at it, you're seeing what it is. Oh, this person rejected me. This person does. I can't believe this person is not listening to me when I'm telling them what they're supposed to do because they know who they're supposed to be to me. Let me go ahead and get um, Mr. Fantastic to come over here and put him in his place. Mr. Fantastic and his group of people. Oh, they can't do it. All right, then I need to go ahead and get him Docs. Docs is not going to do it. Okay, I need to go ahead and figure out where he works so that he can lose his job, and then he's going to know who I am. And then we're going to have to make sure that there's no way that this person can ever recover because I don't want to have to go through this emotional strain again. This is how they're trying to put people in their place. Are you serious?
Yeah. This is fundamentally what it is. I'm gonna put you in your place because you don't deserve my respect. Even though I'm butthurt and everything you said about me was true. You're supposed to be the guy who takes this abuse and do it with a smile. Remember that. Do this shit with a smile on your face.
I forgot who talked about the whole smile thing, but a smile is supposed to be the acknowledgement that you know your place. So I tell people this, right? Depending on your background, your race, and all that, if you go to a certain part of the world or the country and they start to go through the levels. Once again, levels of engagement with you. It's like, oh, you need to smile a little bit more. That's the first passive aggressive attack. Because first and foremost, they don't know who you are for you to come up to you and then say that, especially if it's someone of another race. But if it's the same race, Kevin Samuels already proved that in one of his lives where it's offensive to them if you ask them to smile. It's extremely offensive. So if it's offensive to you, why would you ask someone like me to smile? So you already know that that's a passive aggressive attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if that doesn't work, then we're going to go to the next level. Let me go around and start messing with this person's reputation and saying that he's unapproachable.
Yeah.
Think about this. I know some people in here probably went through what I'm talking about, but I'm at the point I'm going to expose it because it is what it is. You know, when they're doing this stuff to you, that this is an aggressive attack against you because you need
Oh,
to be
it's,
put in your place.
oh yeah, it's premeditated than a motherfucker. And it's purposely done, like you said, one, to put you back in your place, and two, so they can always play the victim. I'm gonna be the victim because I'm gonna make you the big bad wolf to my little Red Riding Hood. Oh, I know I slapped him. I know I slashed his tires, but you gotta come get him because he might actually snap and beat my ass. Oh, he didn't beat my ass? You gonna pay me attention, and I'm gonna do even more heinous shit to you. I cut that nigga's ties. Told you I'm crazy, y'all. Told you I'm crazy. Hmm.
They're bragging about that shit too. Oh, I did this and got away with it. You're bragging.
Wow. And bragging
That's
about
called show
doing
of force.
little shit.
My
Mm-hmm.
bad. I'll say it one more time. That's called show of force, people. It's like an enemy force coming onto your area, and after they basically wiped your area out, they put their flag on your land to let everybody else know what we did. That's you know what you know what. Let me pause real quick. I'm not going to even get hot off of this.
Oh no, no need. Go ahead, speak your piece. That's why shows like these are important to get it out. Because sometimes I realize black men need an avenue. Because what the fuck else we gonna thought they when women talk about and brag about, oh, the government are spying on the black manosphere. The manosphere content, they got it under investigation. We've been under investigation for years now. Get the fuck over it. I was averaging 150 to 200 people. It is what it is. We made our peace with it. We're not killing people. We're not doing any harm to people. We're just telling the fucking truth. And here's the bad part about the truth: it sets us free, but it puts the other people in bondage. And ultimately, when men say, "Hey, we gotta diddy bop the fuck out of here," we're gonna get the fuck out of here. We're gonna leave you to your own devices. I heard you like women anyway. We heard you like these other men. Go get them. Why are you sticking yourself near us?
And even when you try to respectfully, without any form of conflict, walk away to go and find somebody else, they're even disrespected by that. It like men, black men, understand the action is showing how much disdain they have for you because they're not doing it to anybody else. They are calling like other area, whatever you want to call sisterhoods in other countries to have men deleted. They walked away.
Hmm.
Think about this, people. They walked away. And it was like, okay, because even for years, like I said, I'm 40 something. When I was in my 20s, I remember men that was in their 40s when I was in my 20s talking about going to Brazil to find a wife and even moving there.
So this is before social media has reached its heights. This is something that's been going on for years. The people in which they know that they can't attack because they're considered the ruling class. How come you don't hear, Keisha's and the sisterhood talking about mail order brides, which was huge in the 70s and 80s? How come you don't hear that? Passport Bros is the new age mail order bride from back then. So you're telling me because you decide to take, and it's only people who have the funds to do it, to go and take trips, possibly relocate, because these countries are giving incentives for people to work in their country because of the population density is low, right? Like places like Japan or even Thailand or whatever. I mean, you can go and do the research and you'll see what I'm talking about, depending on your field. Going there, and then they're telling you not to go there to make more money because of the risk of you exiting out of the conflict, and then possibly marrying someone that's willing to grow your name, your legacy, your reputation because of their orders in order for you to be degraded and then basically to be eliminated and to be erased from history. This is the ridiculousness that if you decide to allow it to happen, then don't fucking complain. Oh man, I'm tired of this. Like, what are you doing to stop it? If not, and I'm saying this with the utmost respect, right? Because those individuals did not have the opportunity to do it. Then tuck your head down and then continue to not complain and push on, like those in the silent generation. It's going to offend people that I say this, but stop complaining. This is not a thing where you want to come and then complain, just like we said at probably towards the middle of the spring, where you want to be with me when everything is all said and done. But you were not with me when we're sitting here grinding and fighting so that we can all live free from this form of conflict. Stop doing that because you're adding to the bullshit. But, typically from what I've learned in my experience, people who complain like that, they're exhibiting a form of modern day feminism, right? Or modern day femininity. And then they just want someone to cope with and trauma bond with, right? And then they will typically, just so that they're getting the attention that they want, then they were like, oh yeah, there's these people over there talking about black women, and I don't even know why they're talking about that, thinking that they're going to get a shot. Like I said, the symptastic people, they're the ones that do stuff like this, thinking they're going to get a shot with the person that they've been chasing their whole life. I'll stop right there.
Oh yeah. I mean, hey, sometimes you got to let the levees off and let the dam flow. And this is what the content creators are. We're firing back. We're not. If you notice about the content creators, especially this year with all the little threats and all the stupid shit, this lets you know that we're hitting worldwide when we're doing the drizzle drizzle, when we're doing the gynocracy, when we're talking about the plight of black boys, and you're seeing it in the news talk about the same shit. We're global. We're damn near universal. Escape velocity is coming. Hey, what's up, Kareem? And it's either you do three things: you lead, follow, or get the fuck out the way. What happens when you take the curiosity off the black man and put it somewhere else? What happens when, like you said, we're making efforts in different professions? What happens when we go stick our names out there? You produce. But no, you're convinced that you want these softer men so you can have a soft time. No, no. Mm-mm. I'm gonna end it for right now. 2 hours in. Might come back tonight. Well, definitely today's Tuesday, so working tonight, so I'm gonna be up there on Art New Styles channel tonight. So definitely catch me up. Thank you for everybody who came in. Shout out to Black Noir spitting that heat. Woo!
Appreciate it, brother, for allowing me to come up and speak. Like I said, I try to add as much content because of my profession. I can speak through y'all, right? Live vicariously through y'all. No disrespect, and also pause. But thank you so much.
And then that's part of the reason why we have shows like this. A lot of people pay us to speak for y'all, to speak on subjects and give either y'all come up and release the energy or we speak for you. Either way, we're happy to do it. We are out.